Yes, I am finally back. I've enjoyed my summer break. Not really got up so much, really. It's just been a quiet one. Not really much on. Kid Street Noise is back. We've got a brand new podcast. You'll have seen the new intro by now. You'll have heard the new intro by now. New logo. It's all fresh. It's all exciting. And yeah, the podcast is going to be a bit better, I would say, from now on. One thing I definitely want to do is be a bit more positive. You will hear a positive Kiddy Street Noise from now on. And in part one, we are going to get rid of our annoyances and things I've wound up this week. But first of all, Kiddy Street Noise isn't just going to be me. I'm not going to be monologuing for the next 9 months while the season goes ahead. I have got a brand new co-host who is going to be joining me today. So please, everyone give a warm welcome to Kiddy Street Noise, Jack McGrew. Jack, how are
Hello.
you?
Yes, very well. I am sweltering in 33-degree heat in London because I made that choice a long time ago and regret it every single day. It's this hot.
Yeah, we've picked a very muggy night to record the first episode back. We should have waited for like a cooler atmosphere to start diving back into the world of Rovers content creation. Me and Jack met through the Coalition group chat. When did that all start? It feels like a long time ago that we first communicated inside that group chat.
Yeah, I think it was like 14 years ago. It feels like now.
And I was going to describe you as the Suhail Pasha of the Coalition group, which seems very harsh, but you were very much.
I take sincere umbrage with that, but I will allow you to finish.
But of course, you were very instrumental in a lot of the things the Coalition did, but just weren't as visible as some other people. Would you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, I think it started as a small nucleus, and it kind of centralized around there's a key 5 or 6 figures probably that were day-to-day contributing, but it's a much bigger entity than that in terms of engagement. Obviously, I'm not an active part of it and haven't been for a while, so I couldn't tell you the exact makeup, and I wouldn't have been able to tell you that for a while. But yeah, I think that's. I understand now what your Suhail Pasha analogy is. It's like essentially Shadow Man, right? I'm like in the background, unofficial job title,
That's how I would describe it, definitely. But you've decided to join me on the Kiddy Street Noise podcast to release your opinion on Blackburn Rovers in a more visible light, but we'll get the listeners and the watchers to know you first. So I've got the quickfire questions that we ask all our guests, although you're not a guest, you're now a co-host of Kiddy Street Noise. And we'll run through each one of them just so that people can get to know more about you as a Rovers supporter. So first off, what is your earliest memory of supporting Blackburn Rovers?
I think my earliest memory is a game in probably the 91-92 season, but it's patchy. I think it was an important game for some reason. My mum was there, and I've only ever seen her once at Rovers, and that was that day. So I verified it with her, and she remembers going, but she couldn't tell me anything about it. Other than that, I do have a memory of us the day my nana had Sky. So the day that we won the league, it was on Sky. It was like a split screen, I think, of the United game. And I lived in a cul-de-sac full of United fans in Clitheroe, and everybody was hammered that was at my house that day, I seem to remember, and somebody gave me a scarf to basically just go out and stand in the front garden with the scarf above my head, pointing it at the various houses of the United fans. So that's my earliest actual formation memory, I think. Yeah.
Good stuff. What was your first Blackburn Rovers kit? Or any football kit, if you got?
It will have been a Rovers kit. I seem to remember having the black and red stripe from the Premiership winning season, I think. And then the next one will have been a CIS one, I think. I never had a home McEwen's Lager one, which I've regretted.
Yeah. Everyone seems to have said that's the first kit, but there's not really like lying about in terms of, I mean, people aren't going to sell them anyway, so you're not going to find them on Vinted, but you never seem to see that many, I'm going to say, authentic ones out in the wild, obviously.
I think it's because a lot of us were kids when we had them, and ultimately, parents are unfeeling about that stuff. They're just like, get it out. He's not wearing it anymore. It's too small for him. So I assume it got donated or something. If my mum was particularly charitable that year. I've been tempted by some of the official ones, but it's crazy how expensive those are at like 200 quid or something for a halfway decent version of it. And I don't think I can afford to wear what is essentially a t-shirt that costs £200 out of the house. Like it would have to become an investment piece essentially. So no.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely couldn't wear it to Sweetwood anyway. Filthy. What is the first match that you remember?
I suppose watching on Sky and stuff, it will have been the winning the league one. No, actually, it will have been the United game. Actually, now thinking about it, of that season with the contentious sending off. I think Paul Warhurst scored from like the halfway line or something mad, and it got ruled out for no reason. I also remember
Berg got sent off.
I also remember the following season. Was it Berg got sent off?
Yeah, because he tackled.
Yeah.
Was it Lee Sharp? Won the ball,
Who
he
dived
kicked out for a corner and just ref you a penalty and a red card. Yeah, it was.
And I remember the United game the following season, the home United game the following season. Keane got sent off, I think, because he tried to dive against Hendry, and then Beckham scored from a corner or something mad, maybe. That kind of era is the formative era. Obviously, the 91, 92 game that I allegedly was at, like no real memory, but yeah, those have been the ones that I really remember.
Who is your favourite all-time player?
Yeah, we were talking about this before. I think the correct answer for most people in my generation is probably two guy. I think my personal answer is Matt Jansen because of kind of the awareness that you have of football at that age, being the right time, and him being objectively our best player. I used to get obsessed with the niche foreign players. Like nobody talks about George Donis. Why are we not talking more about George Donis? I remember being very intrigued watching him on his debut in that CIS kit, and everybody around me being like, "Well, he's useless." And me being like, "I don't think he is. He's from Greece. He's probably amazing." So, yeah, I like all those players, but Mike Jansen's probably the favourite of all time.
Yeah, and who's your favourite current player?
Slim Pickens. I'd say. I think I'll stick on Ohashi. I think. He's got everything about him to make him a cult player, like tenuous grasp of the English language, but a lot of enthusiasm for learning it. A lot of it surprise at I remember being at the Norwich away game a couple of seasons ago, where he scored an absolute belter of a header, and I seem to remember singing the Hey Yuki song, and he was kind of deciphering. He's like, "This song's definitely about me," and then he turns to. I think Callum Britton, he's like, "They're singing about me," and he was like, "Yeah, no, they're singing about you." There's something about that he's got the cult status. His graft is really good. He scored some absolute belters and some important goals as well, if you think about it, like some genuine important goals. So, yeah, I like a cult player. He's mine.
Best memory?
Obviously, winning the league, as limited as that memory is. Best proper memory. There's definitely a few like last minute winners or equalisers that he would kind of stood basically at the exit to kind of see that we're good. But I think it's kind of a sad memory in a weird way because it's a good one, but I'll tell the story. The Worthington Cup win, basically like I watched it on my own at like 12 years old because nobody was in. I think it's either Saturday or Sunday, but nobody was in apart from me, and everybody else had gone to watch it or gone to the pub or something. So my mum was probably at Asda, which is very much a Saturday or Sunday occupation for her at the time. And it's a bit sad, but I remember just kind of absolutely losing it on my own in the living room and having nowhere to put the energy.
That's, as a Scotland fan, and we'll probably get onto that when we talk about the World Cup in Part 3, I watched quite a lot of the Scotland games on my own. Even at the ground and going to games and watching it on my own, it is a very it's almost weird. Like you have these like amazing moments, and then you just like look around and everyone's like hugging someone, and you're just like, oh, yeah, I'm actually by myself here. It's a very
you're just shaking your own hand, basically,
hugging yourself. Yes, get in. And then finally it ended on a negative point. Of course, your worst memory as a Rovers fan.
Something about Ashley Barnes pushing Kaminski into the net after they were very visibly battering us. Smited watching that lot win, to be clear, the championship. at Ewood, lonely watching, like knowing what was going to happen on Sky, watching on Sky. Just that was a sad one. But the sad one from my youth is probably, and it wasn't that sad necessarily. It was just something kind of, it sets you up for the rest of the period after that. I think my first season ticket year was the year after we'd gone down. So I think Souness is maybe in charge at that point. And that season, Joe Royle's managing City, and he takes them up on the last day, and it's just like I think like 60% of Ewood, 70% of Ewood is City fans anyway. And it was just it was weird being at your own, like, it's your end of season parties. It's kind of like a weird low key birthday party, but it was strange being at your own birthday party in a weird way. It very quickly turns into somebody else's birthday party, and then you're looking kind of wistfully, and even at that age, you're like, why can't we do this? Like, these are shit. Yeah. we know they are, and yet here it is, and it's happening. Yeah, I think that's a weird, sad one, because it's, with hindsight, it's like, buckle up, mate. It's going to be like this for a while.
Yeah, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is Jack in a nutshell. Now, the podcast with us two hosting it from now on is going to be slightly different. It's going to do 3 parts, but we are going to reflect still on Blackburn Rovers and what's going on in Blackburn Rovers world. But the idea is that either me or Jack will bring a debate to each episode, and we will spend the majority of the episode debating it back and forth, discussing who's right, who's wrong, but we also want to hear from you as well. We've set up a brand new Kidder Street Noise Discord, which we'll put a link to in the episode description, that you can join. There's plenty of channels there to give like match reactions, give you updates on Blackburn Rovers content creators, what they're posting and what they're saying and all that sort of stuff. Plenty of voice channels to talk on a match day, or to talk and prep for a match day if you just want someone to talk to. You might be like me and Jack and watch football on your own and want people to talk to, so there's a voice channel in there where you can listen to like-minded Rovers fans. But yeah, it's all going to be, I don't want to say less about Rovers, because I still want to talk about Rovers majority. It's just in case things happen like last year, because obviously the reason that it wasn't just the football last year that me and Lewis like fell off recording the podcast and creating Rovers content. It wasn't just that the football was terrible to watch and all that sort of stuff, but obviously Lewis is travelling about here, there and everywhere. I think he flies to Australia this Sunday to do the Darts over in Australia and New Zealand for 2 weeks, so not having that consistency, which is why Jack's now on board and we're rebooting the podcast. So we're going to create more, I don't want to say good content, because I don't think we've ever done that, but more consistent content. But I think I should start this episode without a debate and actually explain what I've been doing on my summer break. So we will join you after.
The people want to hear it. The people want to hear it.
People want to know what I've been doing. Busy summer of my ass and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we'll join you after these adverts and these messages, and we'll come back for part 2. Okay, welcome back to part 2 of this first episode back of Kidder Street Noise, and I'm sure a lot of people, I say a lot of people, will be asking. Only like 3 people messaged me over the summer, so I don't think that many people are actually interested. But on the 22nd of April, the night that we secured safety in the Championship, I think it was. Did we beat Sheffield United?
I think limped is probably the word.
Yeah, limped's a better word. But, no, we'll be positive. We secured, we fought our way to a Championship survival to ensure another great season in the Championship. Now we've got 8 playoff places. You never know, it could be the Championship season we've ever had. Who knows? But yeah, after that night, I told everyone on Twitter I was going to take a break from football generally. I mean, I watched the last few games, but I wasn't really invested in the outcome as much, because whether we finished 21st or finished 15th doesn't really make a massive difference. It was more of like a huge sigh of relief that we'd actually stayed up and all that sort of stuff. But there was also a lot of things going on this summer that I wanted to take a break for. I had exams, my final year of university, at the Open University, so I sat my exams like a couple of weeks after the season ended. Got my results back last week, passed, so that's me finally done with university. I also had a new job starting on the 1st of June, and I didn't want to go into a new job refreshing Twitter, refreshing Facebook, refreshing BRFCS, because I had very much, like in my notice period at my previous job, got into the habit of let's just argue with people about Blackburn Rovers, as I'm sure a lot of people listening and watching will know. And it was a constant back and forth, and the last thing I wanted to do was start a new job and be like, oh, I need to reply to this person on Twitter, or I need to check my Twitter to see if there's any notifications, because it just gets very tiring and very tedious, and yeah, it's just not how I wanted to enjoy my summer. I also had a friend stag do, so I went to Tenerife for a weekend for my best friend Dan, who's getting married next Friday. I also had my stag do in Albufeira, and also someone agreed to marry me. Yeah, I got married on the 4th of July, Independence Day. I lost my independence. We had, and people say like, oh, it's the best day of your life, and you're like, yeah, all that. Yeah, it's just like a joke between lads that, yeah, this is the best day of my life. Rovers beating Southampton's better than wedding day. The wedding day, if anyone's on the fence about getting married, I would highly push you towards getting it. It is the best day of your life. It is so, like, everyone's there for you, everyone's there to celebrate you, the love you feel is immense, but like the moments that you share, I remember just being sat at the top table after we'd had food and like looking out on all the tables of people that were there to celebrate us, and I was just like, this is amazing. And then we always had the crash the day after and the Monday, because it was like, how do you top your wedding day? Like, there's literally no day that will ever be as amazing as that. But yeah, it was just the best summer. Went to the Cotswolds after, took the dog, but it was during the heat wave, which was absolutely stifling. We were in this old brick cottage with no aircon. It was a long week. It wasn't long, we still obviously enjoyed it, and went to like some amazing places, like one of the most beautiful parts of the country. But yeah, we probably didn't enjoy it as much as we could have done. It was a bit cooler. But we're going on a honeymoon in November, absolutely fine. But yeah, the summer has been absolutely incredible. But yeah, how's your summer been, Jack? I know you've obviously not took the break that I had.
I mean, no, I'm not a break guy, unfortunately. Circumstances do not permit it as such. My summer has been spent doing things like finding ways to optimize my aircon, finding ways to keep my geriatric miniature schnauzer alive in this heat, kind of essentially cursing the city that I live in consistently and trying to not think about Rovers at all, because similarly to you, after we'd secured safety is the word, isn't it? It just felt like a massive kind of like, what are we going to do next season? And then there was the moment of feeling, do you know what, like Michael O'Neill and Phil Jones and Damian Johnson more active in the day-to-day, maybe this is something that like there's a feel-good factor around it. And then I remembered that there was an entire summer to come. And I realised it's better if I don't think about this, because if I do think about it, spend too much time thinking about it, I'm going to be disappointed. And that particular frame of positivity at the end was there. So I resolved at that point to be like, just kind of go through the motions at the end of the season. I speak to my brother a lot about it. And we were both agreed, it's like, let's not think about it. It seems like there's quite a lot of chaos this summer, people going through like personal afflictions and similar, so I was kind of helping out on some of those things. And the World Cup, which I think we'll probably talk about later, is such a weird freak abhorrence in many ways of just, why is this happening at this time of day, and why does it feel like it's been scripted by like kind of like an evil villain, essentially, to be like, how do I make this the worst time? So it's been an underwhelming summer, which has kind of left a bit of a void around everything football for me, and football's a big part of everything, as it is for most people that are into football, I suppose. So I've been kind of strangely reconciling my feelings about everything, coming back to thinking more squarely on the forthcoming season and then the normalcy that returns. Essentially, I've basically done an out over summer. I've like hung out with people and spent time making new acquaintances and romantic interests, which have been very entertaining, but is frankly a different podcast.
Good stuff. There is another thing I wanted to talk about, and that is the mindset change. One of those. Although people won't believe me, people still think I'm a negative, moody. I don't want to. I don't know how else would you describe me? Cock. But,
I was going to say pragmatist, but if you want to go with cock, it's
yeah. Cock. I think most people choose cock. It's easier to spell than pragmatist, isn't it? So, so of course the last season was awful, and I'm sure no one will disagree that last season was awful. I think we had 4 home wins we had all season, and
just incredible numbers.
oh, it's just crazy to think that we went to February with Ishmael in charge, and then had Michael O'Neill, and now that's completely changed. We've got Mowbray, and I think we'll do another episode on Tony Mowbray and Michael O'Neill, just because there will be so much to decipher. We'll probably do it towards the end of the transfer window, because we are starting to make moves now, and Mowbray's squad and tactical might change, or I think the squad might suit Mowbray's what we've seen previously as we get further into the window. But yeah, it was like a really weird feeling last season, because, and obviously I've lent into this, and this has become part of a thing that happens on the Kidder Street Noise Twitter page, and it's gonna we're definitely coming away from that this year. It's very easy to be sarcastic about how shit we are. People say it's the lowest form of wit for a reason, but if Sean McLaughlin makes a mistake and I tweet, "What the hell are you doing, Sean?" and it gets 20 likes, it's not funny. Well, it is funny. It's hilarious, but it's not.
It is funny. It is funny.
It's not clever. It's not good content. I know it's funny and everyone it's a cheap like, but that's what I was doing. I was filling my brain with cheap dopamine from getting likes from tweets like this. And what I was seeing is that after Rovers lost, and we'll talk about also when Rovers won. So when Rovers win, I am buzzing. People see me on Twitter and think that I don't want Rovers to win and all that sort of stuff. Anyone that's been to an away game and seen me, or seen me at Ewood in the Blackburn end, will know that when Rovers win, I am buzzing. And that fills the dopamine meter. Rovers have won, I'm happy, I'm going to pull my mates. My brain is now comfortable. Now, what I was doing when Rovers lost is that I felt shit because Rovers had lost, and to make my brain more comfortable, what is now the best way to get dopamine? Okay, I can tweet something shit about one of our players being a disaster, or Rudy Gestede signing one of his mates, and those 20-30 likes would then fill that dopamine meter in my brain. And what was happening is that I was getting not necessarily withdrawal symptoms, but my brain would be excited about the fact that I could fill up my dopamine meter when Rovers lost. So even when I didn't want to tweet about it, or I just wanted to go to bed after we'd lost a midweek game, my brain was like, well, actually no, you can get a high here, you can get a high here, you can get a high here. And it was a really bad position to be myself, which is another reason why I wanted to go on the break. Apart from all the stuff we've done this summer, that was a huge reason why I wanted to take a step back and almost reset my brain, as in, you don't need to, not necessarily you don't need to do that, but it's not good for you, it's not good for the page, it's not good for the club. And yeah, it was just a complete dopamine reset, and it's been good. I feel really good. I don't feel the need to comment on everything that Blackburn Rovers do, who they sign. I don't feel the need to go and tweet that this person scored 2 goals in 92 games, anything like that. I just think, yeah, what will be will be. I've got my season ticket. I know, obviously, I've been the biggest supporter and the biggest harper on about the direct debit option, interest-free. Rovers should do that. It was one of the things that I argued the most with Steve Waggett about, and when Rovers introduced the 5-month payment plan, I was like, well, I can't harp on about it for years and then not get it. And yeah, I think it will be my last season ticket, just because life will eventually change, and I think listen, I don't. the town has changed, and this is probably like another topic for an episode about Rovers attendances. And I know like the SCR rules have changed, we have to boost attendances. Unfortunately, I can never see growing the attendances naturally, just because it's no longer what the town does. And the whole reasons behind that we can discuss. But the whole, I think last season around the boycotts, and I think the 150th anniversary season, what happened with the 150th anniversary fixture and the kit, if people weren't willing to protest then, I don't think they ever will be. And I think that was I think the Derby game was our final chance to send them in, and we didn't. So after the summer and the whole reflection, I was like, I don't want to spend my potentially last season following Rovers, not necessarily following like supporting Rovers, but like going to Rovers games in that mindset of I'm not going because I want to get them out. I just think last season was our last chance. Move on and just enjoy it until it eventually all comes crashing down on us when the doors are boarded up.
Yeah.
Any questions?
You know how I feel about. I was going to say, yeah. You know how I feel about kind of missed opportunities last year with the twofold of the traction that I think we were getting at points with coalition-related stuff, and just an incredible marketing own goal. You know, I know we're not trying to be negative, but it's an incredible marketing own goal to not capitalise on an anniversary year like that. They do genuinely come around every 25 years. They're the significant ones. It's an entire generation that this should be a defining moment for them. I remember 125th. Seems to remember Dunny scoring a penalty against probably Wolves. I think it was the anniversary game with that. I mean, with hindsight, as a guy that makes clothes, you know, as part of my job, I remember that now. That's like one of the worst kits I've ever kind of like took.
I remember it being very stiff and like.
I do not know how they've chosen that, but I understand that at the time they've probably gone to the kit supplier and said, "Can you help us with this?" And they've been like, "No," because there's no trend for it, and there's very little in them for it because there's probably relatively low numbers they're expecting. And they've just tried to get it done probably locally, but it's somebody who's obviously not like a technical wear person in any capacity. So they look cool, undeniably. There's a few shape issues and stuff, but the concept was really solid. It looked great watching the players rock up in it and play in it, but they almost look visibly annoyed because it must not have been comfortable. But it's a really... I know we did it. I know we had the anniversary kit, but there's plenty of controversy around that. It's probably very little consultation. And I think when you think back to the things that we were promised for that anniversary year, there was going to be a celebratory concert or some event or something, and just all didn't materialise. It just kind of shows how much of a big missed opportunity it is, which I think is a great analogy for maybe that time frame. And I'm not dissimilar to you. This forthcoming season, I'm definitely going to be taking it in as much. And I'll still be making pilgrimages up to the north to watch games at Ewood and catching away games down here and possibly slightly further afield, you know, subject to kind of, you know, permissions and as you say, like kind of as your life evolves, your responsibilities increase, and sometimes you do catch yourself asking, or in my case, I get caught by others where they're like, "What are you doing? Like, you never seem to have a great time." So yeah, okay, I do have a great time, but maybe not in the way that I'm hoping for. I can have as good of a time elsewhere. So I think I'm similar, and I think I'm similar to you when it comes to the missed opportunity, which maybe is something we can talk about in the future.
Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it for the summer for me. I was pretty busy. I don't think there's much I've missed out. There's only Rovers stuff I've missed out on. I'm sure I'll get to on when's the 1st of August? Friday? Saturday? Saturday's the 1st of August. I'll be returning on Saturday, so we'll read through them all then. But yeah, in part 3 we're going to talk about what's been happening in the world of football whilst we've been away. We'll talk about the World Cup. We'll talk about Tony Mowbray obviously joining the club. A bit about new kits, and we'll do our early predictions for the season. Okay, welcome back to the final part of this first episode of Killer Street Noise Reboot. And we're going to talk about the summer of like actually what happened in football whilst we were away, and we weren't talking on Twitter or anything like that. Now, obviously, you mentioned it earlier about the World Cup and where it was set. How did you feel about the World Cup overall? Did you enjoy it as it was happening, but on reflection, that was actually pretty shit? Or throughout it, was you like, this is actually quite dire, this? Or this is like a fever dream that just shouldn't be happening?
Yeah. It's not, well, I guess the kickoff times would incline me to say it was a fever dream, it felt like, but the run-up felt so, there was a lot of, when you think of, I think as I was kind of tracking it almost in my mind, the squad was a letdown. The squad was an enormous letdown, right? And the question marks there, and I've kind of gone into it thinking like, it's in the US, it's going to be weird timings. I don't know how much you're not going to kind of catch the games. I did obviously end up catching like great moments. The Cape Verde stuff was great, but that kind of lead-in felt really anticlimactic, or kind of like a real letdown in a way beforehand. Like I was prepping myself for it. I should say that I've framed my World Cup as having seen every single game except the Mexico game, and my experience of not watching the Mexico game was not intentional. My experience of not watching the Mexico game was like, okay, get yourself to bed early, eat early, get home early, eat early, settle down. Then, plug in the iPad, put it next to you, have it on BBC One. My gamble was, in the run-up, at about 10 or about 9:30, I was like, this is going to get delayed. So it's not going to kick off at 1, it's going to kick off at 2. Even if it kicks off at 2, if I wake up, I catch the second half. So you set the alarms for 2, obviously. I do not get up, which is my fault and an indictment of my inability to. You could burgle me, you could burgle my house, and then you could steal me as a final effect, and I still would not wake up. The thing is, I woke up in the morning, and the first thought in my head was like, you fucking missed this. But I was like, you can catch the replays, and as that's happening, BBC One's on the iPlayer, and it's been streaming all night. And I hear BBC Breakfast announce the score to me.
Oh.
And they announce it as like an all-time thriller or something. And it was just the worst of all worlds. So even when I was watching the highlights, I was furious because I knew what was going to happen and I knew it was an incredible game. And all I was seeing was, wow, this would have been a great thing to witness. So I think the one legitimate kind of, if you are an England supporter, highlight for the World Cup was probably that Mexico game. And it passed me by through my own inadequacy, which is potentially like an indictment of most of my life in many ways, but nevertheless disappointing.
I think the hardest part for me, as a Scotland fan, is that
as a Scotland fan,
people were like very. I mean, like my cousins and stuff, like very disappointed in like Scotland's performance, and I've like listened to like Open Goals podcast and they've been slagging Clark and the way he's played, which I get because. You play Morocco and Brazil, sometimes you have to do things differently. You can't, like, playing out from the back against Morocco and Brazil, you're asking for trouble. I've nothing wrong. If you want to put Grant Hanley up front for 90 minutes and just kick the ball to his head, I would be happy to watch that. But still, you're still having to play Morocco and Brazil. Like, if you could just change the tactics and beat those two teams, like Barnett could go to Man City and do that. It just doesn't happen. I think in hindsight, would have still needed to beat Haiti. I think there was only one team that qualified with 3 points, and that was Senegal, I think. And they were in the group with France. Or they were in a very strong group, so they are obviously like a very good team as well. So like you're pinning all your hopes on beating Haiti, and with Morocco and Brazil still to play, you're probably looking at needing to win 6 or 7-0. And even though it was an expanded World Cup, there wasn't really many games like that where a team got absolutely paggered. I think the Germany had one very early on, didn't they?
Germany beat someone, Curacao probably.
Yeah, that was. But I think for like the first 40 minutes, it was like still quite tight. So yeah, it was a very like strange World Cup. I think the most frustrating thing for me is, had Scotland been in England's position, would they have been knocked out any sooner?
In terms of the pathway through the knockout games?
And the group.
You're not doing Norway.
We beat Norway away in qualification the other year.
I don't think you're doing them in the World Cup. Let me put it another way, because I wanted to ask the question. about your disappointment around Clark's resignation, which to me, I think, is somebody who's affectionate towards Scotland due to my heritage. I was like, yeah, it seems right, and I probably wouldn't have had him coming in. I know he did get it over the line, but he didn't. Like, I watched 4-2 for the qualification, and it felt like the players on the pitch made that happen. Kieran Tierney's a sub that he made to come on to really turn the specific tide in that moment. You're right, it's a bizarre inflexibility that seems to exist in gosh knows we saw this with Ishmael, and to an extent you saw it with Thomason as well. There is an inflexibility where people essentially ascribe like a specific philosophy. They talk about their philosophy and their kind of belief of how football should be played. And I think we should all be, in many ways, for what it's produced, grateful for the Guardiola period in football. But the upcoming period is about adaptability, right? That's what it's going to be. It's about being fully adaptable. And I think adaptability has to come from a coach level, or certainly from an organisational level from a leader. And that's the thing, that like really great coaches can be adaptable, or they can permit their players to be that. And I think maybe Clark wasn't. Do I think you get as far? Ghana's a tricky game. It's a tricky game. It's physical, but it's technical. Wait, no, Ghana were in the groups, weren't they?
Yeah, that was a 0-0 draw.
So who was
the 32? Dr. Congo.
Dr. Congo, yes. Yeah, you'll do Congo. I don't know if you do Norway. I don't know if you do Haaland. I don't know if you... I mean, he was quiet, but like, as you mentioned before, like, is Grant Hanley keeping Erling Haaland quiet?
Probably not. Is Erling Haaland keeping Grant Hanley quiet? That's a real question. I think that's what everyone's really thinking.
I mean, the comparison point that I would have is... I think Haaland's like drinking raw milk and making his own raw food diet and stuff. He's basically on the equivalent of like a dog's crazy. Like, he's like a Viking, basically. Yeah. He's drinking milk directly from the cow. Whereas there is the semi-famous rumour of Grant Hanley picking up a KFC on the way into Brockhall. And I just think there's something about the dietary discipline that speaks, you know, the imbalance that I would have found on the pitch. 85 minutes in, I think Grant Hanley's blowing and Erling Haaland is just kind of as the famous adage goes. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a naughty little question to ask, but ultimately I do not think. Do you think there's a kind of rabbit in the headlights thing?
What, from the Scotland players? No, I mean we got caught out early against Morocco, but with 2 penalty appeals, it could have easily been a draw or a win that game. The Brazil game, like. Brazil were poor this tournament, but Brazil would have to be the poorest they've ever been, and Scotland would have to be the best they've ever been for Scotland to beat Brazil at World Cup. It's just those two things have never happened together at the same time. So it's unrealistic to think that could potentially happen. The Haiti game's disappointing because it is just 1-0, but again, in hindsight, thinking about the group qualification, we'd still need to beat them 6-0. And I think even at 4-0, like, are we still trying to score, or are we all just tops off, just absolutely loving it that we're 4-0 up at World Cup? Like, I just don't. Maybe you could have, but I didn't think Haiti were that bad.
And I think there's something about the structure of it as well. In many ways, you want Haiti early because you get the win under your belt, and then it's all from there, right? And if you flip it around and they're the final game, you're potentially coming off the back of an unsteady game against, let's say, Morocco or Brazil first, and then one of the other two for the middle game. So then the desperation is there of like, we need this win, this is the last chance for it. But I wonder if the flip side is getting a team like Haiti early, you're still a bit nervous, you're just out of camp, it's like a squad that's been selected for it, and I know there's a lot of familiar faces, but he finally bites the bullet on Shankland. And yeah, I don't know what you could have done more necessarily, but I was surprised waking up the next morning to see only a 1-0 against Haiti. I was like, I think they did 3 there.
Yeah, at least. Are you kind of annoyed that the World Cup... I mean, I don't want to say it went well, because we've just been saying that it wasn't that great of a World Cup, but in terms of all the things that people were worried about, in terms of like the prices and stadiums not being sold out, and I think more or less every ground was sold out for every game, is it kind of annoying to say that they've organised it and it looked, like the spectacle looked amazing, it's just not football, is it? I think that's the that's the annoying thing. Like, yeah, it's these flags are fantastic, but I'd rather the team just run out onto the pitch and do a few keep you uppies.
Yeah, I think it's like that thing of it's like trying food in the States. I don't know if you've been to the States before, but like first time you go to the States, like one of the first things you get is a McDonald's because you're like, what's it like over here? And it's like, oh, it's similar, but I can taste that it's worse. Like there's something off about this, and I think it's kind of similar to that. It's like, what's there? Like try KFC over here or whatever, or like going and getting like Domino's is an original. I don't know why I'm just listing off fast food places, but you get my point.
Yeah.
You're trying the American import to the UK or whatever. You're going out and trying their version of it, or even, you know, I guess when I was old enough, like the first time you drink an American beer is just like, this isn't great, but this is what they're all doing. Like I get, like it's a version of what we do, but it's kind of given to their palate. And I think something about that, it doesn't necessarily annoy me, it just kind of confirms what I know, which is just soccer is never going to really fully catch on there because it can't kind of comfortably translate to their preferences. Like as much as everybody's talked about a million podcasts talking about the refreshment breaks just being glorified advertisement breaks, like there's something about the psyche of the American consumer where they kind of can't sit down for 45 minutes and just concentrate on something. Even with a throw-in, that's not enough of a break for them. They need to be relieved. So those little breaks in the middle like just does something for the attention span of the American consumer, I think. And I think we saw a version of like what would happen if it really was adopted by the US. What would we be subject to? So I wasn't disappointed. I think it confirmed some fears in some ways. Hopefully it strengthens the resolve of people to be like, let's not let football be like that again if we can help it.
I mean, I've got on the notes here that players can ruin their legacy in one moment. The moment I'm talking about is Lionel Messi in the World Cup final being a grass. And I just think, like, for someone with his image of... Like, Ronaldo was always the knob, weren't he? And Messi was always the good guy. He was like, although like human growth hormoned out of his eyeballs, like, but he was the good guy. And Ronaldo was the villain.
He's the quiet genius, right? Is what Messi is. That's the thing.
But that moment, I think Messi will always be remembered. It's a bit like Maradona with Hand of God. Like, he will always be remembered for that moment. And I think Messi will also always, and like, don't get me wrong, he's like the world's best ever player and done so much for football. But part of me now, he's almost like kind of ruined it. Where I will always see that image of him like holding his hand up, like, "Miss, you've not asked us for our homework yet." It was painful to watch. It was like a heartbreaking moment. It was like in slow motion. Like, as soon as Cucurella did it, and I saw him turn around to the bench, I was like, "Oh no, please, don't ask for it." No. And then he put his hand up like the guy at school asking for homework collection. I was just like, you've ruined it. It's completely gone for you.
I think I've got things on both of this. The concept of grasses in football, which I'd like to get into, but initially, even at this World Cup, he did some really magical nonsense, like just out of this world stuff. Obviously, through the prism of this is essentially a pensioner at 40 or at 39. I don't know if it fully ruins his legacy. I think the thing that really bothered me was I'd kind of rationalised Argentina. After the initial World Cup win, you rationalise it, and there's a documentary about it that I watched very late one night when I was essentially kind of staying up for no reason other than I didn't want to go to bed. And the documentary was kind of about, I think, the Copa America win, or maybe just about his whole career, but it like kind of centred on the Copa America win. And you realise that so prodigious of a talent he is, that team understood it, and he was kind of iconic just for the squad members. They were not friends with him, they were kind of followers of him. Yeah. So they do all these awful things that we really hate because they are facilitating him, because they are trying to facilitate a game that he can take a moment and be the difference in a way that basically only he can, or in a way that kind of provides an effect or a negative effect towards the opposition that will just end them. Like, it will just kind of fully demoralise them because it will be so out of nowhere, so out of pocket, and it will swing momentum. And he did that. Well, the team kind of managed that at least a couple of times, right, through the tournament. The disappointing thing about that action is it kind of confirms that he's not above it, which at that point is like, oh, you are all shits, and we do have a good reason to hate all of you because you are all like this. So yeah, I agree. I don't know if it'll define him. I don't think if it's quite as egregious as the Hand of God thing, but the main thing is like you already have football. Admittedly, you've only got one World Cup. You don't need to be like this about the second World Cup. You still have a World Cup. You've got everything else and the World Cup. Don't be like this. And it's still kind of sad seeing a guy who's, I mean, obviously he's emotional when he scores goals and he's kind of had confrontations and stuff in the past, but specific outpouring of emotion that you saw at the end where it kind of probably all hit him is like, that's it for me. Like, I really wanted to do this again, and we felt like we were getting close enough. That was a bit sad. But the thing I wanted to talk about grasses is, if I say some players have the face of a grass, do you know what I mean?
Trying to think of examples.
If I say, so I'll give you one example. Jordan Pickford has that face.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And he's got the face of a kid who would be like, Miss, he hasn't done his homework. And it's like, I told you that in confidence. He's got the face of it. I also cannot stand Cucurella for, I think, similar reasons. I think he has the face of a grass. And I think it might just be a latent memory from complaining about getting your hair pulled. Now, who am I to argue about this? Because it would annoy me. But I'd also do plenty to make sure that it wasn't pullable if I was a professional footballer on a couple of hundred. Something about their faces, like, it's just like, nope, don't like it. So yeah, Cucurella, that was the saddest moment of the World Cup for me, was Cucurella is now a World Cup winner and he gets to walk around saying that, and I just don't think that's right.
So I've had like loads of questions. Like, obviously I've started a new job, so there's always, and this is like the first time I've been in the office for years. My previous job I was fully remote, and football small talk happens quite a lot, and there's always like that weird question. So I've got two that have come in recently. So Lamine Yamal at 19 is arguably a lot better than what Messi was at 19.
I've seen the side-by-side stats, right, that they've shown, yeah.
Is he going to continue that trend and be way better than what Messi is now? Or way better than what Messi was at his peak when he reaches his peak?
I don't think so, and I'll tell you, it's the groin injury. What do you think for him? I don't know, what do you think?
I just think football's changed that much that he couldn't do the individual brilliant moments that Messi did just because it's not in the system anymore, which is really sad. Like the basically, like, his best moments will always be a cut inside and curling it into the top bin. That will always be his best moment, no matter what. Whereas he's never going to get the ball in the centre circle, beat 6 men round the keeper and slot it in, because that's just not who he is. He's just going to stand on the right wing, cut inside, wicket, top bin, and will he ever? Maybe he might mature into a more central player and become that player, but I just can't see it, unfortunately. I don't think we'll never reach the heights of Ronaldo and Messi again in football. It was just an amazing era to watch. And
I think it's the thing. It's two analogies that I usually kind of draw. Is when I first saw Haaland in the Premier League, he looked like a guy that was like 2 age groups above, dropping down. Like, he just, everything about him was like he was faster, bigger, stronger, moved quicker, had everything. And the thing with Messi was, he looked like somebody from the future that was coming back, because we'd seen the acceleration of football pace, and when you go back and watch some of the early highlights of him kind of at the beginning of what you'd say like is a dominant era, he just seems to be playing an entirely different game to the guys around him. And even now, their movement, the kind of flexibility, athleticism just all seems to be way less, and he does just seem like he's playing from the future. I think you're right, but then people have said this. People said that, I suppose every generation does have one. You have, like, Maradona did what Messi was doing, albeit not to the same level, but like with really heavy balls, getting kicked like no protection whatsoever, but also like a raging cocaine habit. Like, that's just a big limiting factor in it.
Maybe that's what Yamal has to try to get into that next level. Just a ridiculous cocaine habit, just to try and bring him up to Maradona's levels. And then anyone pulls him out there, just be like, "Oh, wait a minute, Maradona did it, and it was brilliant." So
yeah, exactly. I mean, the breakfast of champions.
We had the steroids allowed Olympics. Have you seen this?
I have heard about the guy that was doing the podcasts and like kind of promoting it, but I didn't know it had happened.
Yeah, so like they've had the steroids allowed Olympics, and only one world record was broken. And then someone commented on that on Twitter saying that, well, that just shows you how talented the normal Olympic athletes are. And I was just like, you can't be that naive. It's actually impossible for you to be that naive about the topic.
But I mean, it's funny because the question I was going to ask is like, okay, is it the steroids are allowed Olympics, but is it like people like me having a go? Like, is it like, what if we give an entirely normal person who is probably slightly unfit steroids? Are they any good at this? Like, if somebody has gone from that position, taken some steroids and they've broken a world record, that's impressive. But if it's actual professional athletes doing it and not breaking world records, then yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have a good base level of fitness. I think even with a ridiculous amount of steroids, I'm not beating Usain Bolt in a race. That's all. I can't even beat my mum in a race, I don't think. And then what was the other question? So, you're away from home at Man City. Your team are winning 5-0. You're on the bench. You can get subbed on at centre-back. What's the earliest that you can get subbed on that you would still win the game?
5-0?
Yeah.
Maresca is the manager, though.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why that's a consideration. I'm trying to figure out shape. If it's 5-0,
the team you're playing for is completely random. You don't get to you can't say, I'm going to play on centre back for Arse. So just time waste.
Yeah.
It could be completely.
Just hold Saliba's hand whilst he guides me around the box. Yeah. He's like, what do I do? Yeah.
Yeah. It has to be a very low added time.
85 and I'll hit the deck very often.
Yeah. I think
I'd probably do a Cucurella and just insinuate that people were constantly pulling my hair. That's my out.
Yeah. I think I could stretch it back to 78. That's the lowest I'm going though. I'm just trying to think if they miss the target once, you got a goal kick. It's not even a minute anymore though, is it? It's 8 seconds or it's a corner. Oh, I don't want to be one of the persons stood there to set the short goal kick because.
I think. What's the situation here? Are we competition winners and we found ourselves onto the bench? Is this some kind of weird Americanism
as you are
you've
now?
Won some right? Yeah. So everybody knows that you're shit as well.
Yeah. Man City get excited when your number comes up on the board. They're like, oh, this is a chance now.
The competition winner is coming. Yeah. The thing is, Rob, you're what, 6'7", 6'6"?
Yeah, 6'7".
Right.
Not doing that.
I'm 5'7", which, yeah, you initiate. I'm 5'7", so putting me at centre back is like putting Mascherano at centre back, except with none of the talent, obviously. I mean, essentially, I'd have to kind of come on and be like, look, I'm a sweeper / libero who's not very good. We're going to play a deep line, and then we're just going to try our best. But I think 85 is the earliest I would be comfortable being like, I don't think they can do 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, someone in the office the other day said half time. I mean, and I've watched him play fives, and he's not good. But
this speaks to that thing that was going on over summer where people were saying, these guys are shit, I was better than these, and people trying to explain the best kid that you ever played football with when you were a kid didn't make it, didn't get close to making it. I played football a couple of times very casually, as basically like a Saturday morning thing. He was at the Rovers Academy with Joe Garner. He came to my crap indoor football Saturday thing because he'd stayed over at my house or something on the Saturday morning. He basically embarrassed the instructor because the instructor used to join in and then saw that this kid was Joe was obviously an incredible level of talent. Joe, I think at one point, flicked the ball up on his head, walked the length of the pitch, heading the ball, and then just scored a goal, turned around and looked at me and was like, do you want to go home? I was like, yeah, okay. Joe's, obviously a really great footballer and played for Rovers and did mega numbers in the youth numbers and had a really great career afterwards. But the idea that people were watching the World Cup or talking about playing at the city level and being like, yeah, I could cover there, it's you don't understand. Yeah. Have you seen that video of Koscielny, banging out Rabonas into the top corner in a training session or a warm-up or something or a media day?
No, I've not seen that.
I'll dig it out and send you. No, it wasn't. There's a story, somebody told a story that he did that 3 times in a row. There's a video accompanying it of him warming up, I assume at the Emirates, and just juggling the ball a little bit, knocking the ball down and just Rabonering it into literally the top corner. It's if you said Lauren Koscielny, like Silky's like way down at the bottom of words that you would practically describe the guy with, right? They're told like do this specific job, and they do that diligently with all the pressure around it. But the baseline level of ability is like insane, like crazy how good they are at football. Anybody who says that probably needs to actually be made to do it.
Yeah, and I think most people at that level, or like the guy that I'm talking about from work, I think if you subbed him on at centre back for Bamber Bridge and they were 5-0 up with 10 minutes to go, I still think they'd get beat. I remember, like whilst we were saving up for the wedding, I got a second job at St Wilfrid's, like opening the football pitches for them, and Bamber Bridge came down to train for a couple of weeks. And obviously I still play football on Sundays. Guide Villa, double winners last year, won 2 trophies, buzzing. And I think I'm a tidy footballer, like obviously physically the worst player you've ever seen, but technically still got it, left foot still working. But the speed that they play at, because I was like, oh, I'll just join in and sit as centre back for you, and just whilst you were training, the speed that they play at is just a different level, and that's like Bamber Bridge, who are barely semi-pro. And I'm just like, well, if these guys are that good and they're only playing at Bamber Bridge, how good must the guy be at Accrington Stanley and Fleetwood? Then how good must the guy be at Blackburn Rovers and obviously when you get
and this
to
is the thing about the concept of
Chelsea and Arsenal, like, it just gets to ridiculous levels.
Agreed, and I think it's why you begin to understand, when you think about it, you begin to understand the concept of like marginal gains, where like 0.5% is enormous sometimes. And I don't want to turn this into the Jake Humphrey high performance podcast, but like when the difference between, you know, the average person and a guy at Bamber Bridge is probably twice the gulf versus you know, Bamber Bridge to something like City, they're just in an entirely different bracket. Anybody who's basically played the game professionally is in the same hat, like, versus the general population,
Yeah.
right? And it is just a small period of percentages that define exactly how far up the chain you go. Like, if we can say Garnacho's shit, Kvaratskhelia good, it's like it's probably like 0.1% or something that's the practical difference between their application levels. It's really just nothing. Like, there's just nothing in it. It's just that it looks that much bigger.
I think, like, if your average person was 0 and Messi was 100, like, Grant Holt is still 99. Like,
yeah.
It's still that close to Messi compared to the average person. And I think... Which
makes FIFA ratings all the more egregious. Where it's like, how dare you give that man 65% pace?
Yeah,
that's mad.
Yeah. He would like, Adam Forshaw would still tear up any race he had on school sports day for the dads. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we're going way off topic here. We're going to Adam Forshaw's racing skills. Okay, so we've been recording for like over an hour, so it must have been like a decent spread on part 3. Early predictions for the season. I've got 2 questions for you, because I don't want to do like league positions and stuff. I think it's way too early. I know people have been like watching the pre-season friendlies and getting into like how... I don't think pre-season friendlies have ever mattered. I don't get into it at all. I just can't judge a team on pre-season friendlies. I've got 2 questions. Who will be the standout player this season?
Okay. Difficult to say before the 2nd of September, obviously. A lot of people will disagree, but I have to hope that it's Todd Cantwell, and let me just say my rationale for that is he's out of contract at the end of the season. Something about that sits right for me, that he has an absolute banger of a season.
Do you think he plays?
Cantwell?
Yeah.
This season?
Yeah.
If he stays, if there's not a deal to probably the MLS or something, then yeah, I think he will play, and I think Mowbray will look at him and be... I think it's the thing we were talking about before, like, you see him in training, like, even when you see him on the pitch, like, his touch, his ability to draw fouls, all the kind of, like... He's got a lot of very elite training that is still deeply in him, and his touch is really, really solid. I think...
Where does Mariska play?
Cantwell play? So, I had a look at today's lineup against Blackpool and behind closed doors. It looks like it might be a 4-2-3-1. I don't think he's putting Baraji on the right, although I have seen him playing relatively wide in some of the clips recently. I wouldn't be against the idea of a 4-3-3 with how we're working, where you essentially have Baraji Forshaw, I guess Montgomery in my mind, but it could be who else?
Marista.
Well, no, I was going to have
Tavares.
Tavares would probably be there, right? You'd have. I think I just kind of blanked him out of my mind. I just kind of forgot that he was an option. Marista and Cantwell behind the striker, but you've got three there. You've got Jorgensen, you've got Gudjonsson, you've got Ohashi. I think Marista and Cantwell behind Gudjonsson would be something I'd be interested in seeing tried out and having it quite a narrow. The thing that actually ironically I saw with England at the World Cup. It's like we're not getting a lot of joy from wide. I know there's a couple of goals that came from there, but it was a lot of time wasted out. And I think if we are expecting to not hold the ball for a long time, then playing quite narrowly and breaking quite narrowly quickly with players who've got decent first touch and can progress the ball quickly up the pitch might be an actual route for us. I don't know who's an excellent wide player. I will say this Jaden Fevrier kid, obviously he likes it out wide and to cut in or to run on the outside and take his man on, so maybe that kind of counters that a bit. But yeah, I do think Cantwell plays, and I'm not saying that I fully back him to have a standout year. What I would say is his contract's coming up to the end of term. We can't agree a deal. We have no hope of doing so. This is exactly the time that I would expect a player like that to have an incredible season and us all, Other than that, Marista, I think, obviously got on pretty well last season, had some really great moments, and can see him building on it. So yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I think Marista's my shout. Alabiosu, maybe if he stays. I know like people are on about like 5-6 million, but I don't think his numbers were that great last year. I don't think he's at that level yet, but I think he could be given a full fit season without the AFCON. I think an actual wide player like this Ferrier is in front of him will help, because a lot of last season it was a lot of like mix and matching. We didn't really have like a dominant right side that played the whole season really. So I think by him, if he could develop a partnership where Ferrier is cutting in and he's overlapping him, then it could work. I think a lot of the time last season Hedges or someone else was getting in his way quite a lot, where they would just either block the space. Who else? I mean, any of the centre backs like Pratt, Itchson, could have really good seasons and could be the next 10-50 million pound player if they play. But you've got McLaughlin that's going to play, and Carter, Wharton that's still ahead of them, I'd say, if they're fit. And then I think Lewis Miller comes back. I think he goes straight back into the team, which I don't necessarily agree with, but
there's your Alabiosu replacement.
Yeah, the centre back was signed. I said I'd stay positive.
That was admittedly my fault. I was baiting you. I think you're right on the Alabiosu thing. I think 5 to 6 million feels like the right fee, but it isn't necessarily based on anything other than we'd quite like that money. Thanks.
And then the last one is, will Mowbray still be here come May?
Yes. I think it's a marriage of convenience, which is negative, admittedly, but I think it is. I think it's difficult for anybody to kind of argue with football cliche. He knows the club, he knows the mess, he knows the people. He won't rock the boat. I think he'll ask for more say on stuff, and I think that's pretty easy to give. But I don't think he'll rock the boat. I don't think can't see him sledging executives in media conferences at any point. I can't see him being in denial. I think one thing that Mowbray does really well is, look, I've disagreed with a lot of things that he said in press conferences about some stuff, but at the same, or kind of media interviews about some stuff, but I think he does speak quite pragmatically, and he has quite a relatable philosophy of football in terms of the whole kind of artist soldiers thing. Is like people can really understand that, and I think it's a really good analogy for kind of how you need to build stuff out. I think as well, I think there's a really solid chance that we can get put down this season, but I think that's a squad issue. I also think that he's probably too good of a coach for League One, and he would bring us up quite comfortably and hopefully get more leeway to build a squad. So I can see him being here for the full 3 years. I can see him genuinely doing a season where 50-50 we go down. If we go down, I think he bounces us back up and does another season, and the Venky's kind of Irish exit or French exit, whichever one's more politically correct, out of the contract at the end of it. I think it is a marriage of convenience, and I think it's, again, I have no problems with him, really. I thought it was definitely the time to go at the end of his tenure, and there's a few bits that kind of stuck in my craw, but he's always struck me as a really stand-up guy, generally, apart from a few minor rumours that I'd heard. I just think that they've run out of ideas. So yeah, I think he stays, but I can see him being here for 3 years, for sure. I think he'll do his whole contract.
I don't know.
What about you? Do you think he'll be here?
I mean, we've not sacked manager since Coyle, have we? So I don't think he gets sacked. Do I see him stepping away? It depends how bad things get. I know he didn't step away last time, but his health's a lot worse now. Could that play a factor in him just saying, you know what, cold winter mornings at Brockle just aren't good for me. I'll see you later. Like, it's just not worth it for him. Do we potentially replace him with someone like maybe Damien Johnson coming back in, or I'm just trying to think of like a way that Mowbray then becomes the person upstairs, if you will, a bit like Kenny Dalglish did. But yeah, I'm trying to picture a way where it ends well for both parties, which is like we stay up for the next 3 years, and there's some good moments, some bad moments, and it ends after the contract ends, and it's like amicable and say, oh, thanks very much again, see you later. That would be the ideal scenario. I mean, the even more perfect scenario would be if it actually gets in the playoffs the first time, but it would need a lot of help.
We've had quite a lot of help with the extra playoff places, but yeah, I see your point.
Yeah, but the teams in the championship now are just getting ridiculously stronger, and the new SCR rules are detrimental to us compared to other teams. But yeah, let's end on a positive. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I think we'll know more once he's actually got his signings in. Once I can see the squad he's built, I'm hoping he wins the game against Burton, because I know that he didn't really treat cup games that seriously the first time he was here. I'm just hoping and praying he wins out, gets off to a good start, and actually gives the cups the respect they deserve, because they do help, and especially good for the young lads to get a run out as well. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I hope he hands the League Cup over to youth as an opportunity, and I think if the way that it's fallen this time is saying to the young lads, this is basically still pre-season, but we're giving you a full competitive match against a team that you could practically win against.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to knock a first teamer out.
Yeah, definitely. It's the chance of saying the league starts next weekend. Could you be in the team if you perform well today? Which is never a bad thing. Okay, I think I'm going to end it there, unless you've any other points to raise.
Nothing burning.
Pleading the fifth. Like to thank everyone who kept in touch with us over the summer. To keep updated, you can follow us on X at KidderStreet90. It feels weird saying X rather than Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow the BRFCS podcast show on whichever podcast provider you use. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, what are the other ones? Shout them out.
Acast probably have one or something, do they? I don't know.
Yeah. But wherever we get podcasts from, you can follow up BRFCS. You can also find us on the forums on there, or you can join the new Discord, which I'll put a link in the description for you to join in the discussion and throw comments our way on the podcast. But I will see you all when we're back for episode 2 in a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, enjoy the return on Twitter and enjoy the first game of the season and the rest of the transfer window. See you in a bit.